Your mother says that you're feeling unwell, that you don't think you'll be able to go into school today because you don't feel up to it. Well, let me tell you a story about a boy with no legs and no hands, who every morning would be thrown out the back seat of a pickup truck, and if he was lucky, he'd land in a ditch, and if he was unlucky, he'd be thrown onto an electric fence strung out with barbed wire, and he'd spend at least, you're talking 20-25 minutes just getting fucking electrocuted in the balls. And after that, he'd start to walk, which was a difficult thing, because sure he hadn't any legs. And so he'd have crawled, only for he hadn't any hands. So he used to shimmy, like a snail boy, down the back roads, cars and trucks passing by not giving a shite. And he used to take in the fumes, and it'd make him delirious, and he'd start seeing things. He'd start seeing some cunt getting out of his car and offering him a lift. But sure, it was all in there. And so he'd shimmy the 8 miles, and he'd arrive into school on time. And if it was a good day, he'd get 1 cracker. And if it was a bad day, all he'd get would be a kick in the balls. And for his education, he'd be beaten, he'd be battered, he'd be broken. And that'd be the first 5 minutes of Monday morning. For taking a shite, they had buckets. And for taking a piss, they had printed out copies of the Geneva Convention. And then for trying to get home, if his teacher was in a good humour, he'd get 6 foot of rope, tie it around his back, and drag him behind his car 14 miles in the wrong direction. And if it was a bad day, his teacher would do loops of the village as he's there shimmying home, and each time he'd do a loop, he'd hit him. But he'd pull in the car, he'd get out, and he'd kick him in the balls. And by the time he got home, it'd be well past the 11. No dinner, and if he was lucky, his mammy would offer for him to go into the bins and go rooting around it, looking for a few scraps, maybe an old crouton, or if it was a good day, a lumpy slice of bread. And then for trying to sleep, sure there wasn't any rooms in the house. He used to shimmy out to the shed, and he'd be praying to God that there'd be some fresh cow shite, 'cause then he'd have the bit of warmth, you see. And you know who that kid was? 'Twas your daddy. Now you take it easy there now. Don't go straining yourself anyhow. But there's a load of timber out in the backyard that needs to be chopped up. You might get to that now before I come back, right? Come in. Right. I'll leave it to it. I'll tell that to your man now. Oh, Jesus, me back. Oh, Jesus. Right. I'll say that to you. To yourself. You get to that. Right. No, he's going to get into that wood now. Yeah. Cut there?
That was the one. I thought it was the one.
I think that's the one.